Tenet is Christopher Nolan's most controversial film. Some consider it a masterpiece of complex storytelling and visual innovation. Others see it as a confusing mess that prioritizes spectacle over substance. After watching it several times, I can assure you of this. Tenet is brilliant and frustrating at the same time, often in the same scene. In the next few minutes, I'll analyze what Tenet is about, what it does well, where it falters, and whether it's worth watching, all without spoiling the experience. If you're still undecided about watching it, this review will help you make up your mind. Let's get down to business. Tenet is a science fiction action thriller released in 2020, directed and written by Christopher Nolan. It stars John David Washington as the protagonist. Yes, that's his actual name in the film. A CIA operative who gets recruited into a mysterious organization dealing with something called inversion. Without spoiling anything, inversion is a technology that allows objects and people to move backward through time. Not time travel in the traditional sense, but literal reversal of entropy. You see bullets flying backward into guns, cars driving in reverse, people moving in rewind. It's a wild concept, and Nolan built an entire espionage thriller around it. The film also stars Robert Pattinson as Neil, a charming and enigmatic operative who becomes the protagonist's partner. Elizabeth Debicki plays Kat, a woman trapped in an abusive relationship with Kenneth Branagh's character, Andrei Sator, a Russian oligarch with access to invested technology and a plan that could end the world. The runtime is 2.5 hours, and the film moves fast. It's structured like a James Bond movie mixed with Inception, with globe-trotting action sequences, high-stakes espionage, and a plot that folds back on itself in mind-bending ways. Let's start with what Tenet does exceptionally well, the action and visual spectacle. Christopher Nolan is one of the few directors still committed to practical effects and shooting on film, and it shows. The action sequences in this movie are jaw-dropping. There's a scene involving a plane crashing into a building, and it's a real plane, not CGI. There's a car chase on a highway where some vehicles are moving forward in time and others are moving backward. There's a heist sequence that plays out simultaneously from two different temporal perspectives, and the climactic battle, set in a war zone with soldiers moving both forward and backward through time, is unlike anything you've ever seen. The cinematography by Hoyt van Hoytema is stunning. Every frame feels meticulously composed, and the use of IMAX cameras gives the film an epic scale. Nolan shot this for the biggest screen possible, and it delivers. The locations, Tallinn, Mumbai, the Amalfi Coast, Oslo, are all captured beautifully. The sound design and score by Ludwig Göransson are aggressive and immersive. The music pulses with urgency, and the reversed audio effects, gunshots, explosions, dialogue, create a disorienting but intentional atmosphere. Whether that works for you depends on your tolerance for Nolan's tendency to mix dialogue low and sound effects high, but it's undeniably bold. The inversion concept is genuinely innovative. Nolan takes a scientific idea, entropy reversal, and builds an entire action thriller around it. The rules are established early. Inverted objects move backward through time, entropy flows in reverse, cause and effect get complicated, and then Nolan plays with those rules in increasingly creative ways. What makes it work is that the film doesn't just use inversion as a gimmick, it integrates it into the story, the action, and the character motivations. You're constantly questioning what you're seeing, when it's happening, and how it fits into the larger puzzle. It's a film that rewards attention and makes you want to re-watch it to catch the details you missed. And there's also something deeply cinematic about the way Nolan visualizes time. Seeing a building explode and then unexplode, watching a fight scene where one person is moving forward and the other backward, it's the kind of thing that only works in film. You can't replicate this in a book or a video game. It's pure visual storytelling. And for all its complexity, the film does have an emotional core. The relationship between the protagonist and Neil has genuine warmth. Kat's story about being trapped in an abusive relationship and fighting for her son adds stakes beyond the fate of the world. Nolan isn't known for emotional depth, but Tenet has moments of real humanity buried under the spectacle. Now let's talk about where Tenet struggles, because this is not a perfect film, not even close. The biggest issue is clarity. Tenet is confusing, not in a fun, puzzle-solving way, but in a wait, what just happened way. The plot moves so fast and the rules of inversion are explained so quickly that it's easy to get lost. Characters throw around jargon, temporal pincer movement, turnstiles, reverse entropy, and the film assumes you're keeping up. If you miss a line of dialogue or misunderstand the concept early on, good luck catching up. And speaking of dialogue, it's often inaudible. Nolan's sound mixing has been a complaint in his recent films, but it's especially bad here. Action scenes drown out conversations, masks muffle voices, the score overpowers key exposition. You'll find yourself straining to hear what characters are saying, and when the dialogue is important to understanding the plot, that's a problem. The characters are thinly drawn. John David Washington does his best, but the protagonist is more of a blank slate than an actual character. We know almost nothing about him. No backstory, no personality quirks, barely any emotional arc. He's a vessel for the plot, and while that works in some context, it makes it hard to emotionally invest in his journey. Kenneth Branagh's villain is over the top and one-dimensional. He's abusive, megalomaniac, and vaguely Russian. There's not much depth there. Elizabeth Debicki tries her best with Imperial, but Kat's character feels underwritten. She's there to be rescued and to provide emotional stakes, but she doesn't have much agency. Here's the thing about Tenet's complexity. It's both a feature and a bug. If you love puzzles, if you enjoy films that demand your full attention and reward rewatching, Tenet might be exactly what you're looking for. The film is dense, layered, and meticulously constructed. Every scene has details that make more sense on a second or third viewing. But if you prefer stories that are emotionally engaging and easy to follow, Tenet will frustrate you. This is not a film you can passively watch. It requires work. You have to pay attention to every line, track multiple timelines, and accept that you won't understand everything on the first viewing. And even then, there are parts of the plot that are genuinely unclear, not because you weren't paying attention, but because Nolan doesn't fully explain them. Some people love this. They see it as a challenge, a film that respects the audience's intelligence. Others see it as self-indulgent, a director more interested in showing off his cleverness than telling a coherent story. Where you fall on that spectrum will determine how you feel about Tenet. Personally, I think the film is too complicated for its own good. Complexity isn't the same as depth. You can have a film that's intellectually challenging without sacrificing emotional resonance or narrative clarity. Tenet doesn't always strike that balance. So who should watch Tenet? If you're a Nolan fan, you've probably already seen it, or you're planning to. If you love high-concept science fiction, action movies with practical effects, and films that make you think, Tenet has a lot to offer. It's ambitious, visually stunning, and unlike anything else in theaters. But if you're looking for a straightforward action thriller, this isn't it. If you want deep characters and emotional payoffs, you'll be disappointed. And if you find Nolan's style, the convoluted plots, the loud sound mixing, and the preference for ideas over emotions annoying, Tenet will drive you crazy. I'd also say this, watch it with subtitles if you can. Seriously, the first time I watched Tenet, I missed so much dialogue because I couldn't hear it. The second time, with subtitles, the plot made significantly more sense. It's not ideal that you need subtitles to understand the film in your native language, but for Tenet, it genuinely helps. And if you do watch it, give it your full attention. Put your phone away. Don't try to multitask. Tenet demands focus, and if you're willing to give it that, you'll get more out of the experience. So, is Tenet worth watching? Yes, with caveats. It's a technically impressive film with groundbreaking action sequences and a bold concept. If you're willing to meet it on its own terms, accept the confusion, embrace the complexity, and rewatch it to fully appreciate what Nolan is doing, there's a lot to admire here. But it's also a cold, difficult film that prioritizes spectacle over story and ideas over emotion. It's more interested in being clever than being accessible, and that won't work for everyone. My recommendation, watch it once to experience the spectacle.
If you find yourself intrigued, watch it again with subtitles and pay close attention to the details. You'll catch things you missed, and the plot will start to click into place. And if after one viewing you're frustrated and uninterested, that's fair too. Tenet isn't for everyone, and that's okay. It's a fascinating, flawed film that's absolutely worth seeing. Just know what you're getting into.